right, everyone, we're here at Chicago Midwinter, and I'm very excited to have the opportunity to interview Shreyas from DayDream. How are you doing today?
Things are great. It's such an exciting energy in the conference center. I mean, it's like truly palpable how excited everyone is to be here. So
There is definitely a lot of energy. Lots of people are here, which is great. It seems like the showroom is popping.
it's popping. I mean, and I feel like the thing that's so cool is like, I always wonder like, why would you have the Midwinter conference in Chicago of all cities?
Right?
But then you come in and you just see how many great people are here. You're like, it's worth coming to Chicago in the winter.
I couldn't agree more. This is a great conference. If you've never been, we highly encourage you all to come out. Maybe look for us next year. Maybe we'll be here. But Shreyas, tell me a little bit of what DayDream is.
Yeah. We at DayDream help dentists get paid for all the work that they do from these insurance companies that spend so much time and effort to try not to pay them. So what we do is we verify insurance, we submit claims, we appeal denials, do EOB posting and reconciliation, really end-to-end dental billing, so that way the dentist can focus on what matters, which is the patient. And your front desk can focus on what matters, the patient, not being on hold with the insurance company.
I love that. So you guys do the nitty-gritty, all that grind work that we love to do.
I know, I can't imagine a single dentist who doesn't love being on hold with MetLife.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we take that off their hands so that way they can focus on the things that matter. And on our side, we use a lot of technology to automate this work that we've always felt should be automated.
I love it. But Shreyas, so let's back up a little bit. How did DayDream come to be a reality?
Oh, I like the dream reality. I like that you did that. I like that.
Thank
I
you.
that. So I jokingly say I was born into dental school. My mom was pregnant with me when she got into dental school.
Okay.
She raised me all throughout it. And then, when I was 10 years old, my mom started her own practice. And that meant the whole family started a practice.
That's right.
And so I suddenly was the IT guy, the bookkeeper, the janitor, literally anything that was allowed for a child to do, and maybe even some things I probably shouldn't have done, I was doing. And, it really was like, we're a small Medicaid practice in Philadelphia. Like, it's a hard type of practice to run, but I got to see my mom be a hero every single day. And so I grew up working in this dental office. And then of all the things I was best at, I was always very good with computers. And I went to Stanford where I studied biomedical computation. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I just want to work with computers all day. And I was working at an AI company. And then my mom, she's okay now, but she had gotten sick. So I go home and I have to run our practice. And literally nothing had changed. 10 years from when I was, 12 years old to 22, nothing had changed in the practice. And I was like, the biggest problem for us was dental billing, dealing with insurance companies. And I was like, Mom, I bet you could automate it. And my mom famously was like, I bet you can't. And then that's how the company got started.
Bet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me I won't do it.
Exactly. I really love how people from different fields who are kind of familiar with dentistry come have some kind of tie, come in and really help make our lives better, because I think that they look at the field from a different perspective. And I love that you share, you were really ingrained in the field ever since obviously you were born. I love that you speak about your mom as well too, but you saw a problem and now you're offering a solution to dentists.
Exactly. And now we serve hundreds of dentists across the country, and we have quickly realized like it's not just my mom who's struggling with this. It's every dentist, and it's only getting worse. I mean, the way that we think about it is the administrative burden the insurance companies have put on practices is getting worse. The available labor to solve that problem is not as available as it was before, and the impact on the business's P&L statement is huge. I mean, we come into practices that have hundreds of thousands of dollars of accounts receivable. That is your money in someone else's pocket. That when we recover for you, what happens? You're able to give bonuses to your staff.
Yeah, it's nice.
God forbid they take the dentist takes a vacation. Like this is your money and you work so hard for it. And I think so much of what's been exciting is all this technology that's happened. Like a lot of people don't know how to use the tools. And I think my favorite part is like being able to show someone a demo of the product and they're like, I didn't even know AI could do that. And then I don't know, it's like a magical feeling.
Can you break down what that looks like? So if there is a dentist that's interested in getting connected with DayDream and incorporating it into their workflow, what does that look like?
Yeah. So, you can go to daydream.dental and schedule a demo. I highly encourage everyone to do it because, you don't believe it until you see it, right? And I think, when you kind of implement something like DayDream, what we'll do is we'll verify your insurance. And the way that humans or practices do it now is they have humans logging onto these insurance portals, calling the insurance company. We have automated all of that. And what's nice is not only do we have the automations, we also have a human on our end to ensure quality control.
Oh, that's great.
And so I think, the interaction on our team is we're effectively like an outsourced billing agency. So think of these like large third-party billing agencies. But unlike all of them, the reason we can give the quality that we do and the consistency we do is because it's not just humans doing it. And so, for example, it used to be that in our company, humans would spend, I think, 10,350 minutes on the phone with insurance companies.
Wow.
Now, I think they spend less than 500 minutes because they don't have to do the eligibility calls when you have an AI doing it.
That's still
Right.
super significant.
It's-
Sounds like a ton of time.
It's still a bunch of time, and that's why like we're just making the tech better and better, such that they never have to, right?
Wow. Okay.
And I think that's like what's most exciting is like, for example, like reconciliation and payment posting. It's effectively matching information from a bank account to an EOB and then putting it into your practice management software. That's mostly automatable. And now
Okay.
for practices, 90% of it is just automatically for them. And so I think
Very
that's
cool.
where practices really like DayDream is both the automation, but also the fact that you have a human who's there to supplement anything, that 10% that's remaining.
So does DayDream integrate with some of the common like EHR systems?
Yep. So
Okay.
Open Dental and Dentrix
Okay.
Ascend.
Okay, nice.
And again, we're going to keep on increasing the amount of practice
course.
management softwares we serve. But I think the beauty is like we have seen so many point solutions where there's insurance verification and then there's like one that does this and one does that. But like really, we think revenue cycle management is the most important part of your business of dentistry. If you don't get paid, no one else does.
That's right.
And if the insurance company doesn't pay you and the patient doesn't want to pay you, it's a write-off and a bunch of money lost, right?
right.
It's my
Yeah.
college fund. Effectively, my college fund was leaving every year.
Yeah. No.
And,
Well,
um,
yeah. You literally were affected by it
By the-
firsthand.
And so, I think that's how you would work with us is we'll integrate with your EHR, we'll pull data into the DayDream
Okay.
platform, and then you'll just start seeing claims being submitted,
Okay.
things being posted, appealed. Again, we have humans for the appeals,
Okay.
but I think what's really nice is you want the benefits of technology without having to do all the change management
Right.
yourself. So it really is plug and play.
Okay. So you literally
you can get
integrate
start-
it with your EHR.
I think practices can take up to 2 weeks to onboard, but we've had practice onboard in like 2 or 3 days. It's
Oh
like
wow.
not
Okay.
that hard.
That is pretty quick. So from a dentist side of things, you have to work with me because numbers and all this doesn't. I don't really know the back ends often because of my practice situation. But so a dentist sees a patient, completes treatment, completes the appropriate codes. You all take care of the rest.
Yes, and we even do something even before that, which is the verification, which is when you have to
even
have that
better.
conversation with the patient, you want
Yeah.
to give them, when you present the case, you want to tell them not only why do you need it, but hey, here's the cost of it, and here's how having insurance should be a good thing, right, for the patient, so they have less responsibility. And
Yeah.
oftentimes, patients get the wrong estimate. They either get upset or they never get the treatment in the first place that they
Right.
genuinely need. And I would see that with my mom all the time where, as a clinician, she would be like, I know you need this and I
Uh-huh.
want to make this happen, but I need to have the information myself to give you that,
Right. Okay.
and that's
okay.
really where DayDream comes in is
Okay.
once we do that, then you see the patient, you tell us what happened, and then we submit the claim. And everything from there is handled.
Very cool. I'm curious if you have any statistics on any practices on how much additional income they have brought in.
Yeah, so this is, and we're like, I'm an engineer, so we oftentimes
Numbers.
numbers matter a lot to
Yeah.
me. And so, on average, the average practice is collecting 3 to 4% more
Okay.
just from insurance.
Yeah.
But then the other part of the story is, what are we recovering for you? So some of my favorite practices, in the first 30 days, we're able to reduce accounts receivable greater than 90 days by 20%
Okay.
within the first 30
Wow.
days. And then usually by like month, I don't know, like on average, like we're able to recover, $75,000 in
Okay.
accounts receivable for a practice. And that is just like cash to your bottom line, right? That is like, one of my favorite stories. It's a 2-location practice in Colorado. In the past year, we have recovered $400,000 for them.
Wow.
And it makes you wonder, well, how much money did they have in accounts receivable in the first place,
Yeah.
right? If you could recover 400, but they had $600,000 of AR when they started with us.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I think that's like the best feeling in the world, where you're
Yeah.
like, doctor, go buy 2 Porsches.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and
Cash.
it's cash, and it's like, what's crazy to me is so many practices have all of this. They're putting in all this work. They're marketing. They're growing their practice. They're delivering great patient experiences, and they never collect the money. And I would say, not only do we help increase the collection rate, we also decrease the time you get your money, right? So on average, the DayDream practice is getting their money within 10 days
Okay.
of treatment,
Yeah.
which on average, we're seeing like 15, 20, 30 at some practices. And so like what I always say is like, it's not just getting more of it, it's getting your money faster and being able to track it and predict how it's going to go. So For example, do you do a lot of ortho in your practice?
Not in mine, but I know that some of the dinks do, and they do a lot of Invisalign as well too. So
And if you think about like the way ortho payments happen, it's like on this random schedule that you don't really know, but you kind of want to know because that's your
Right.
projected income and revenue.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about DayDream is we can show practices, hey, based on what we're seeing in your practice, here's how much money we think is going to happen in 3 months. Like we want to give them that magic ball to be able to say, here's what the future looks like, so you can make growth-minded decisions based on it, right? Like, should I invest more in marketing? You should know 3 months before you do, and then you can start measuring these results better, which I think is, again, it's what I wanted for our practice, and that's why we built it.
this is why we love engineers. Y'all know how to make everything into a statistic, forecast, and help us make our lives easier and better.
That's the goal. And I mean, I think so, I forget where I saw a T-shirt a dentist was wearing. It was like, as a dentist, you're like an artist, an engineer,
Yes.
a mathematician,
Uh-huh.
a public health expert, and then you're also a therapist sometimes.
Yeah.
And
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And
Yeah,
I
it's a
think
lot.
like sometimes it's really helpful to have help on the things that like you don't want to be thinking about this, but you should be thinking about your cash flow. And the hardest practices are the ones where they're not thinking about it and they uncover that they're missing $600,000, right? That is not what you want to find
No,
out.
of course not.
And it's oftentimes if you ask your staff, they're like, I'm overwhelmed. I don't have the time to do this. That is why I'm not doing a good job. Or we can't even find someone in our community that can do this. Or we can't find someone at an affordable rate. We work with practices all the time in, California or New York that they're like, even if I could find someone, it's going to cost me more money to hire this person to collect that dollar than the dollar itself.
Right.
So, I think it's just, we want to be that, like the trick up the sleeve, I guess, for the dentist.
And in addition to what you were saying, it can be hard to find that person, but also find that person that's knowledgeable enough, right? We really don't have that skill set to know what to look out for. We're not taught that in dental school, and so I think it's nice just to have somebody kind of in our corner, to help us out, to help dentists out and their practices, and just one less worry to have.
And I think that's what, like, I think about, to me, we have humans on our side. Each of them has 8 years of experience working in office doing dental billing. And the way I think about them is, yes, they do dental billing, but they're also like coaching, right? Is so many of the practices don't realize where they might be. Actually, there was a Dink episode about getting underpaid because you're getting paid on the wrong fee schedule. Most dentists don't realize they're losing thousands of dollars to that.
A ton.
And you kind of know what's happening, but you don't know what to do about it. That's where someone like our team member comes in and says, hey, I'm noticing these adjustments are being made. They should not be being made. You're getting paid on the wrong fee schedule. Like, let's figure this out together. And I think that's the exciting stuff, is when we take care of the damage of bad RCM, then we're able to go work on the areas that like fix the underlying problems.
What does the future of DayDream look like?
I think to me, it's like, we serve single locations in Omaha, Nebraska to groups that are 50 locations. I mean, we serve everyone in between. And to me, I want to give that same level of quality of an RCM department to every single dentist. What that means to me is like they are able to have good revenue cycle management practices. They're able to do it at an affordable cost. And they're actually able to improve their business with the cash they now have in their pockets. Like, to me, like, if dentists don't have to worry about the money coming into the door, they can focus on all the other things that, candidly, like, are more valuable than that. But, so yeah, I think it's just, how do we help every dentist in America get paid for the work they do? And that's, like, now my life's work. My mom's practice was her life's work, and now, getting everyone paid is mine.
That's great. That's great. Now I want to expand that a little bit more. What do you think the future of dentistry will look like?
It's a great question. I think, to me, like, there's so much change happening in the industry, right? There's all this new technology, and we're super excited to be a part of it. But like, to me, what it's always been about is like, it's like one patient, a provider, and that chair. Everything else is noise to me. Like, the scheduling and all of this stuff. Like, that's the relationship that matters. That's why patients came to our practice, and that's why patients come to you, right?
Yeah.
And like,
true.
I think what I really see the future is, it's going to be a much more patient-driven journey.
Okay.
With the technology, like, because the provider and the patient can have a more intimate experience. Like, I think all the administrative side is just going to be eliminated almost, because the technology will really help
I hope
automate.
so. I hope so.
And I think that's what everyone wants. And like, I think the thing that I'm most excited about is like, how do we give that privilege? Like, some practices are able to have that privilege, but not everyone does, because they're so bogged down in the other stuff. How do we make it accessible for everyone? Whether you have 50 locations or whether you have one, like, it should all be the same. Because that's, I think why people that's why my mom became a dentist. That's why
Yeah,
it's
for
something
sure.
you did.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think that's the future, is like all the administrative burden is really going to be probably like 90% gone over the next 10 years, even though the insurance companies make it harder. And I think what will matter the most is just the human relationship.
Got
That's
it.
the one thing technology cannot automate.
That's right.
Although some engineers do want that automated, I actually think it's a special thing.
We've seen movies about this. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know
it seems
if I
kind of weird to
want.
me.
Yeah.
But
What about AI? What do you think the future of AI and some of the implementations in dentistry and with what you're doing as well?
yeah. So I can tell you from our perspective, like one of the, before, LLMs or large language models were really good at just, we would give it a very specific task and we'd have to give it a bunch of instructions. Now what's happening is actually the agent or the AI LLM can actually start thinking and reasoning. And those capabilities have gotten much better. So for example, when we started, we were just doing reconciliation and payment posting. But now when we go and investigate an outstanding claim, we have an AI agent that will say, okay, you know what, I'm going to read the EOB, so it knows how to read an EOB. Then it'll say, well, I need to call the insurance company and I need to ask these questions. And it's able to do that. Then it's able to understand that response and then decide what to do next. And like that level of thinking and reasoning, candidly, is much better than most humans I've ever seen. And now we're doing this with patient billing auditing, right? It's like, imagine you could just have effectively human level intelligence go read every patient ledger in your practice.
Awesome.
And then explain, here's why this person has a credit or a balance. It's like, I think that's where increasingly you will see that the reasoning models, or the reasoning capability is better. And so now we have to give the AI agent tools. And at DayDream, what we've done is our AI agent has really great tools. It can call the insurance company. It can read the EOB. It can read the PMS. It understands how to use the PMS. So like, one of my favorite things is you can we have basically like ChatGPT with DayDream, where you can basically ask it like, hey, which are the patients that have a recall over the next 12 months that have insurance? I can pull that. I can say, hey, when's the last time I've updated my fee schedules? And is there any duplicate fee schedules in my in my practice management software? It can pull that because the AI agent knows how to use your
Impressive.
PMS now, which is like, it's only a matter of time before it can do more. So
Yeah,
I think that's where it's like, the tools that will be very successful over the next 5 years are the ones who really rely on the model to do the reasoning and give it the tools it needs to be able to do that. And masters that interface between the human, which is like, I think 95% of the time, the patient is fine chatting with an AI, but it's knowing when it needs to go to a human. When you get a bill that doesn't make sense, for most people, it's okay. You can ask it questions, but then it's figuring out where the human should come in. So anyway, that's like my rough predictions
No, I
on
think
it.
that's great. I think that's great. I think that, like you mentioned earlier, we should keep the emotion out of it and then still stay to the statistics and be very factual and help us make our jobs better. But maybe eventually they'll help us greet our patients at the door as well, too.
I think so. And, RCM, it's one of the things no one likes to think about. No one likes to think about it because it's hard, it's complicated, but that's what the AI is actually very good at. It's very good with numbers, and it's very good at understanding data and then analyzing a large amount of it. Let's let it do that so you can focus on, to this day, my mom knows when a patient comes in after 6 months, she's like, oh, you went to prom with this person. How was that? And I'm like, why do you know that? She doesn't even know that about me, right? But she knows that about the patients. And that's why patients come back to her.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's that human connection, and it's great to relate to our patients in that way.
And
it's funny that she doesn't remember who you went to prom with. But,
I mean, she does.
right.
She does. I'm
Okay,
giving her a hard time. But no, I mean, I think increasingly and again, I think it's just also the economic reality of where the market is. Dentists have never been under more economic pressure than they are today. Reimbursement rates have not increased. Costs have gone up. Labor has gone up. I unfortunately don't see any other solution than adopt the technology. Because if you don't, I don't know how the economics work anymore. And it's scary. And, I know dentists, change is hard for everyone, but we talk to so many practices where they talk to us now and they have the problem and they're like, no, but I'll try to solve it this way, which is the way they know how to solve it. It's just let me hire more people. And they call us back in 6 months and then the situation hasn't gotten better. They've increased their payroll cost and now they have less cash flow. And it's this really
it's like a lose-lose situation.
It's a lose-lose.
Yeah.
And it's and there are limitations of the technology, and I will be the first to tell you where it goes wrong. But it's, when the pain of change is greater than the pain of inaction, you got to do something. And unfortunately, I think dentists we're getting to this point. So,
well said. I like that. Thank you for breaking down what DayDream is. I think that is really helpful and helpful for our listeners. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners about DayDream?
Yeah, I think the thing that is most exciting is revenue cycle management is it's a numbers game. And the easiest way to figure out if your numbers are not good is to know how is everyone else doing. And so if you just schedule a demo with us, I promise you 30 minutes, 45 minutes of your time. I know dentists are so busy, but just go to DayDream.dental, schedule a demo, let us understand hey, is there room for improvement? Because improvement could mean tens of thousands of dollars back in your pocket. Like your child's college fund, I'm looking into the camera, your child's college fund could be in your AR. Trust me, I know. So just schedule a demo. What is 30 to 45 minutes, right?
Nothing if it can bring you that much of a return.
And so just keep an open mind. Because what I always tell people about DayDream is we named the company, it's named after my mom's practice, but I think dentists it's hard to daydream when, you're dealing with unhappy patients, a hygienist who just left or is asking for a raise. I get it. I've seen that day to day, but daydreaming just a little bit more is not the worst thing in the world. So basically the message is dentists, daydream just a little bit more.
I love it. See, we started off with a transition from daydream
I
to
know, it was a good pun,
reality.
and yeah.
That was great. That was great. Aside from the website, are you on social media platforms? Is there other ways that our listeners can connect with you?
Yes, definitely add us on Facebook or go to our Instagram page, DayDream Billing or DayDream_billing. I think for us, some of our best results are when people ask, hey, who should I use on Facebook? And everyone just comments DayDream. That is my favorite thing is when I see that in the wild and I'm like,
word of
we're
mouth.
doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, definitely add us on socials, but just schedule a demo. I promise you
This is your sign.
This is your sign, yeah.
Schedule that demo.
Yeah.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much for meeting with us today, and I hope that our listeners will schedule some of those demos and take a look at your product. And I can't wait to see, hopefully we'll bring you back maybe next year and in the next few years, and we're going to have a different conversation on where DayDream's at and what additional benefits you bring to our listeners and all dentists kind of across the nation. So
Definitely. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for your time.